In the year 2097, humanity had spread across the stars. People lived on distant planets, mining asteroids for resources and building cities among alien landscapes. But even though humans were scattered across the galaxy, they weren't united. Nations argued over territory, corporations fought for control, and trust between different groups was rare. Despite all their progress, humanity still struggled with its old problems. Dr. Alara Voss stood at the edge of a crater on Kelith Prime, staring up at the strange ruins towering above her. She was part of an expedition team sent by Earth to explore this desolate moon. No one knew who or what had built these structures, but rumors said they belonged to a mysterious race called the Architects. Legends claimed that the Architects were ancient beings who had shaped the universe itself before. Disappearing without a trace, Alara adjusted her helmet and sighed. Her job was to study languages, not climb mountains or fight off wild animals. Still, she couldn't deny the thrill of standing so close to something so old and unknown. The ruins looked like giant stone blocks stacked unevenly, as if they'd been thrown together by some cosmic storm. Faint glowing symbols covered every surface, pulsing softly like heartbeats. They seemed alive, shifting colors whenever someone moved too close. Behind her, Captain Ria Torres checked her equipment. Ria was tall and strong, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She carried a weapon slung over her shoulder, just in case. "We should move carefully," she said. "This place gives me bad vibes." Alara nodded but didn't reply. She was too busy scanning the symbols with her handheld scanner. The device buzzed loudly as it tried to decipher the markings. "These glyphs are unlike anything we've seen before," she muttered. "They're not random. There's a pattern here, but I can't figure it out yet." Nearby, Dr. Marcus Halle bent down to examine a piece of broken stone lying on the ground. He was older than the others, with gray hair and glasses that fogged up inside his helmet. "Could be religious," he suggested. "Maybe these architects worship something. Or maybe they left messages for future visitors." "Future visitors?" Ria raised an eyebrow. "You think they expected us to show up?" Marcus shrugged. "Why else leave such obvious signs? Look at those symbols, they're everywhere. Someone wanted them noticed." Aegis, the team's AI companion, chimed in through their earpieces. "Analyzing environmental data," it announced in a calm, robotic voice. "Recommend proceeding with caution. Energy readings suggest potential instability within the ruins." Ria frowned. "Great. Just what we needed, a haunted house in space." Despite Aegis's warning, the team pressed onward. They climbed over jagged rocks and squeezed through narrow passages until they reached the base of a massive structure carved into the side of a mountain. At first glance, it looked like a doorway, but there was no door, just an archway made of smooth black stone. Intricate patterns spiraled across its surface, blending technology and art in a way that defied explanation. At the center of the arch was a single phrase etched in multiple languages. Some were human, others alien, but all translated to the same thing. "Legends only. What does that mean?" Marcus asked, squinting at the inscription. Alara tilted her head. "It could be a warning. Or maybe a challenge." Ria stepped forward, her boots crunching against the rocky ground. "Either way, we're not leaving now. Not after coming this far." Before anyone could stop him, Marcus pulled out his energy scanner and pointed it at the arch. The device emitted a low hum, and suddenly, the air around them shimmered. The arch began to glow brighter, the symbols lighting up like stars in the night sky. A deep rumbling sound echoed through the ruins, shaking the ground beneath their feet. "Oh no," Alara whispered. "What did you do?" "I didn't mean to," Marcus stammered, backing away. "I just wanted to get a better reading." The glow intensified, forming a swirling vortex of light within the arch. Colors danced and twisted, creating shapes that seemed almost alive. The wind picked up, tugging at their suits and sending dust flying in every direction. "Aegis!" Rhea shouted. "What's happening?" "Unknown phenomenon detected," Aegis replied. "Energy levels exceed safety thresholds. Advise immediate evacuation." But it was too late. The pull of the vortex grew stronger, dragging them toward the arch. One by one, they stumbled through the portal, blinded by the brilliance of the light. For a moment, everything went silent. When Alara opened her eyes again, she found herself lying on soft grass under a sky painted in unfamiliar colors. The air smelled sweet, like flowers mixed with ozone. Around her, the rest of the team groaned as they struggled to sit up. Where are we?" Marcus asked, looking around in awe. Rhea stood quickly, scanning the horizon. "Not sure. But wherever it is, it's not Caliph Prime anymore." Alara glanced back at the archway, which still shimmered faintly behind them. The words, "Legends Only," glowed dimly, almost mocking them. She felt a chill run down her spine. Had they made a terrible mistake? Or had they stumbled onto something far greater than they could imagine? The world beyond the archway was unlike anything the team had ever seen. The sky above them shimmered with colors that shifted constantly, deep purples fading into golden yellows, then bright blues streaked with fiery reds. It wasn't a normal sky. It felt more like a living painting, alive and breathing. The ground beneath their feet was covered in soft grass, but it glowed faintly, as if lit from within. Strange plants grew around them, their leaves made of crystal-clear material that sparkled in the light. Dr. Alara Voss took a cautious step forward, her boots sinking slightly into the glowing grass. She turned to look at her teammates. Captain Rhea Torres stood nearby, her hand resting on the weapon strapped to her side. Dr. Marcus Hawley was already kneeling, examining one of the crystalline plants with wide eyes. Aegis, their AI companion, remained silent for now, its systems struggling to process the bizarre environment. This isn't possible," Marcus muttered, running his gloved fingers over the smooth surface of a plant. "These things shouldn't exist. They're part organic, part machine. How does that even work?" Alara didn't answer. She couldn't take her eyes off the landscape stretching out before them. In the distance, towering spires rose high into the sky. They looked like they were made of glass or some kind of translucent metal, reflecting the shifting colors of the heavens. Between the spires floated islands, chunks of land suspended midair, connected by streams of light that flowed upward instead of down. "It's beautiful," she whispered, almost forgetting where she was. But beauty alone didn't explain why they were here or what dangers might lurk in this strange place. Rhea stepped closer to her. "Beautiful doesn't mean safe," she said sharply. "We need to figure out where we are and how to get back." Alara nodded. "Agreed. Let's start by checking the area. Maybe there's something here that can help us understand what this place is." As they began walking, the air around them vibrated softly, as though the entire world was humming. Every few seconds, they heard whispers carried on invisible winds. The sounds were faint, almost indistinguishable, but they sent shivers down Alara's spine. She glanced at Rhea, who seemed equally uneasy. "Do you hear that?" Alara asked quietly. Rhea nodded. "Yeah, sounds like voices, but I can't make out what they're saying." "They're not human," Marcus added, looking up nervously. "At least, I don't think so." Aegis finally spoke up. "Environmental analysis incomplete. Current physics models incompatible with observed phenomena. Recommend caution. Thanks for stating the obvious." Rhea muttered under her breath. They continued moving toward the nearest structure, a massive building shaped like a pyramid, but constructed entirely from those same glowing materials. As they approached, Alara noticed carvings etched into its walls. Like the symbols on the archway, these markings pulsed faintly, as if alive. She pulled out her scanner and aimed it at the wall. "These glyphs are similar to the ones we saw earlier," she said, frowning. "But they're different too. More complex." Marcus leaned in to look. Maybe they're instructions? Or warnings? Before anyone could respond, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Everyone froze, staring at each other in alarm. Then, without warning, the earth split open, revealing a deep chasm filled with molten liquid that shimmered like gold. Out of the crack emerged massive constructs, towering machines fused with animal-like features. Some had claws sharp enough to cut through steel, while others sported wings that spread wide across the sky. "Run!" Rhea shouted, grabbing Alara's arm and pulling her away. The team sprinted toward the pyramid, dodging blasts of energy fired by the constructs. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if gravity itself was fluctuating. Alara stumbled, but managed to keep going, her heart pounding in her chest. Behind them, the machines roared, shaking the very air with their cries. When they reached the base of the pyramid, Rhea signaled for everyone to stop. "We can't outrun them forever," she said, panting. "We need a plan." Alara scanned the area frantically. Her gaze landed on another set of carvings, near the entrance to the pyramid. These symbols were larger and brighter than the others. Something about them caught her attention. "I think I found something," she said, pointing. "These look like directions. Maybe we can use them to get inside." Marcus hurried over, studying the markings. "You're right. There's a pattern here. If we follow it." Without waiting for him to finish, Rhea pushed past them and pressed her palm against the glowing symbols. To everyone's surprise, the wall slid open, revealing a dark passageway leading deeper into the pyramid. "Inside," she ordered. "Now." One by one, they ducked into the tunnel just as the constructs closed in. The machines slammed into the outer walls, causing the entire structure to shake violently. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling, forcing the team to shield their faces as they moved further into the darkness. Once they were far enough inside, Rhea activated the flashlight on her helmet. The beam illuminated narrow corridors, lined with more glowing symbols. The air grew colder, and the hum they'd heard outside faded, replaced by an eerie silence. "What now?" Marcus asked, his voice trembling. "Are we trapped?" Alara shook her head. "No, this place was designed for something. We just have to figure out what." She led the way, following the patterns carved into the walls. Each turn brought new challenges doors that opened only when certain symbols were touched, traps hidden beneath seemingly harmless tiles. Every step tested their intelligence, teamwork, and courage. At one point, they entered a large chamber filled with floating orbs of light. When Alara reached out to touch one, it exploded into a shower of sparks, nearly knocking her off her feet. "Careful," Rhea snapped. "We don't know what these things do." "They're tests," Alara realized aloud. "Everything here is testing us, seeing if we're smart enough or brave enough to keep going." As they ventured deeper, fragments of knowledge began to reveal themselves. Carvings depicted advanced civilizations conquering impossible feats, while others showed beings standing united under starry skies. Slowly, Alara pieced together a message. To pass beyond the gates, you must prove yourselves not merely survivors, but creators. The words echoed in her mind, filling her with both hope and dread. Whatever awaited them at the end of this journey, it would demand everything they had, and perhaps more. The deeper they went into the pyramid, the stranger things became. The narrow corridors gave way to vast chambers filled with puzzles and obstacles that seemed impossible to solve. Each challenge pushed the team to their limits, testing not just their strength or intelligence, but also their ability to work together. Dr. Alara Voss led the way, her mind racing as she tried to decipher the glowing symbols etched into the walls. Every room they entered had a new riddle to solve. In one chamber, they found themselves standing on a platform surrounded by floating blocks of light. The blocks shifted positions every few seconds, creating paths that disappeared as quickly as they appeared. "We need to cross," Alara said, studying the pattern carefully. "But we have to time it perfectly." Captain Ria Torres stepped forward, her sharp eyes scanning the moving blocks. "I'll go first. If I fall, at least you'll know what not to do." Before anyone could argue, Ria jumped onto the first block. It held steady under her weight, but when she leaped to the next one, the entire platform shook violently. She barely managed to keep her balance, her arms flailing as she landed on solid ground. "Careful!" Marcus shouted from behind. His face was pale, and he clutched his scanner tightly. "One wrong move, and we're done for." Ria nodded, motioning for the others to follow. Alara went next, her heart pounding as she mimicked Ria's movements. The blocks shifted faster now, forcing her to think quickly. When she reached the other side, she turned to help Marcus, who hesitated before making the leap. He stumbled but caught himself just in time, collapsing onto the platform with a gasp. "That was too close," he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Aegis chimed in through their earpieces. "Energy readings indicate increased instability. Proceed with extreme caution." "Thanks for the update," Ria said sarcastically. "Now tell us something useful." Ignoring her, Alara pointed to another set of symbols glowing faintly on the wall ahead. "Look, there's more writing here. Maybe it'll give us a clue about what comes next." She approached the wall and traced the markings with her fingers. These symbols were different from the ones they'd seen earlier. They weren't just instructions. They felt like warnings. One phrase stood out: "Only those who adapt will endure." "What does that mean?" Marcus asked nervously. "It means we can't rely on brute force or luck alone," Alara replied. "We need to think differently. Be smarter, faster." As if to prove her point, the floor beneath them began to crackle with electricity. Thin streams of blue energy snaked across the surface, growing brighter and more intense by the second. "Move!" Ria yelled, grabbing Marcus by the arm and pulling him toward a doorway at the far end of the chamber. Alara followed closely behind, her boots sparking as she ran across the electrified floor. Just as they reached the safety of the next room, the entire chamber behind them erupted in a shower of sparks and smoke. Breathing heavily, the team leaned against the walls, trying to catch their breath. This place wasn't just dangerous, it was alive, reacting to their every move. It was as if the pyramid itself was watching them, judging their worthiness. The next challenge came in the form of a maze. Unlike any ordinary labyrinth, this one twisted and turned in ways that defied logic. Time flowed differently, depending on which path they chose. In some areas, minutes stretched into hours, while in others, seconds passed in the blink of an eye. "This is insane," Marcus muttered, checking his watch repeatedly. "How are we supposed to navigate this?" Alara studied the walls again, searching for patterns. "It's not random. There's a rhythm to it. We just need to find it." With her guidance, they moved cautiously through the maze, listening for subtle changes in sound and temperature. At one point, they heard whispers echoing around them, soft voices speaking in languages none of them recognized. The words were jumbled, but there was a melody to them, almost like a song. "Do you hear that?" Alara asked, tilting her head. "It's guiding us." Ria frowned. "You sure? Sounds like white noise to me." "No, listen. It's getting louder." Following the sound, they eventually found themselves in a circular room with tall crystal formations rising from the floor. Each crystal emitted a low hum, vibrating at a slightly different frequency. Above them, a massive orb of light hung suspended in the air, pulsing gently. "This looks important," Marcus said, stepping closer to examine the crystals. "Maybe we have to activate them somehow." Ilara nodded. "These frequencies must correspond to something. If we tune them correctly..." She pulled out her scanner and began analyzing the vibrations. After a few tense moments, she figured out the sequence. With Rhea and Marcus helping, they adjusted each crystal until the hum synchronized into a single, harmonious note. The orb above them shimmered brightly, then split open, revealing a staircase leading downward. "Well, that was easy enough," Rhea said dryly, though her voice betrayed her relief. But the trials weren't over yet. As they descended the stairs, they entered a cavernous hall filled with holographic projections of planets, stars, and galaxies. The images shifted constantly, showing scenes of civilizations rising and falling, wars being fought, and peace being forged. It was overwhelming, like witnessing the history of the universe unfold before their eyes. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, atop which rested a glowing sphere. The moment Ilara touched it, the vision stopped, replaced by a single message written in multiple languages. "To pass beyond the gates, you must prove yourselves not merely survivors, but creators. Show us why your kind deserves to inherit what lies ahead." Ilara stared at the words, her mind racing. "Creators," she whispered. "That's what they want from us. Not just answers, but innovation." Rhea crossed her arms. "So how do we show them we're creative geniuses? Start building rockets?" "No," Ilara said thoughtfully. "We use what we have. Work together. Build something. Anything." Inspired, the team pooled their resources. Using spare parts from their equipment, fragments of glowing crystals, and even pieces of their suits, they constructed a small device capable of interfacing with the pedestal. It wasn't perfect, but it worked, a testament to their ingenuity and determination. When they activated the device, the room lit up with dazzling colors. A deep, resonant voice echoed around them, speaking in tones that vibrated through their very bones. "You have proven yourselves worthy," it declared. "Proceed to the final trial." The pedestal sank into the floor, revealing a tunnel bathed in golden light. Beyond it lay the unknown, the culmination of everything they'd endured so far. Exchanging nervous glances, the team stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. The tunnel bathed in golden light led them to a vast chamber unlike anything they had seen before. The walls stretched endlessly upward, disappearing into a haze of shimmering mist. In the center of the room floated a massive sphere made of shifting energy, its surface rippling like water but glowing with an otherworldly brilliance. Around it hovered smaller orbs, each pulsating with different colors and patterns. Dr. Ilara Voss took a step forward, her eyes wide with awe. "This must be the final trial," she said softly. "But what are we supposed to do?" Captain Rhea Torres tightened her grip on her weapon, scanning the area for threats. "Whatever it is, we better figure it out fast. This place doesn't feel safe." Dr. Marcus Holly adjusted his glasses, squinting at the glowing orbs. "Look at those smaller ones. They're moving in some kind of pattern. Maybe we need to interact with them." As if responding to his words, one of the orbs drifted closer, hovering just above their heads. It emitted a soft hum, then split into two identical spheres that began circling each other rapidly. Without warning, the spheres shot toward the team, forcing them to dive out of the way. "Okay, so maybe not friendly," Rhea muttered, rolling to her feet and raising her weapon. Ilara held up a hand. "Wait, don't shoot. These might be part of the test." Before anyone could argue, another orb approached, this time slower and less aggressive. When Ilara reached out cautiously, the orb paused, as if waiting. She touched it gently, and it transformed into a stream of light that wrapped around her arm, leaving behind a faint mark, a symbol similar to the ones they'd seen throughout the pyramid. What just happened? Marcus asked, staring at the glowing mark on Elara's suit. I think it bonded with me, Elara replied, examining the symbol. Maybe these orbs are tools or keys. We need to use them somehow. Rhea lowered her weapon reluctantly. Fine, but if one of those things tries to fry us, don't blame me when I blast it. The team worked together to approach the remaining orbs, each interaction revealing new challenges. Some orbs required them to solve puzzles by manipulating light and sound, while others tested their physical coordination by creating barriers that could only be crossed through precise teamwork. Every success brought them closer to understanding the purpose of the central sphere. At one point, they encountered an orb that refused to cooperate no matter what they tried. Frustrated, Marcus slammed his fist against the wall. Why won't it work? What are we missing? Elara knelt beside him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We're tired, Marcus. We've been through so much already. But giving up isn't an option. Remember what the message said. Show us why your kind deserves to inherit what lies ahead. Marcus sighed, nodding slowly. You're right. Let's try again. With renewed determination, they regrouped and approached the stubborn orb once more. This time, instead of focusing solely on logic or brute force, they combined their efforts using both creativity and intuition. When Elara sang a melody based on the tones they'd heard earlier, the orb responded, splitting into fragments that reformed into a bridge leading to the next stage of the trial. Despite their progress, tension simmered beneath the surface. Fatigue weighed heavily on all of them, and the constant pressure of the unknown was taking its toll. Arguments flared occasionally, but they always managed to pull themselves back together, reminding each other of the stakes. Then came the moment that would change everything. As they neared the central sphere, the ground beneath them began to shake violently. Massive constructs emerged from the shadows, towering machines fused with animal-like features, far larger and more menacing than anything they'd faced before. Their eyes glowed with malevolent light, and their movements were swift and deliberate. There's too many of them, Rhea shouted, firing her weapon at the nearest construct. The blast struck true, but the machine barely faltered, advancing relentlessly. We can't fight them all, Marcus yelled, backing away in panic. Elara's mind raced. They couldn't win this battle head-on. They needed another solution. Her gaze fell on the glowing marks left by the orbs they'd interacted with earlier. An idea sparked in her mind. The symbols, she exclaimed. They're connected to the orbs. If we channel their energy. Without hesitation, she grabbed Marcus's scanner and began modifying it, using parts scavenged from their gear. Rhea covered her, firing bursts of energy to keep the constructs at bay. Hurry, Rhea urged, her voice strained as she dodged a swipe from one of the machines. Finally, Elara finished her makeshift device. Holding it aloft, she activated it, sending a surge of energy toward the glowing symbols on their suits. The marks flared brightly, connecting them in a web of light that pulsed outward, striking the constructs. One by one, the machines froze, their glowing eyes dimming until they collapsed into lifeless heaps. The shaking stopped, and the chamber fell silent except for the hum of the central sphere. Breathing heavily, the team stared at the destruction around them. They had done it, but at a cost. Their equipment was nearly depleted, their bodies exhausted, and their spirits pushed to the brink. Elara stepped forward, facing the central sphere. Is this it? She asked aloud. Have we passed your test? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the sphere began to glow brighter, expanding until it filled the entire chamber with radiant light. A deep voice resonated through the air, speaking directly to them. You have proven yourselves worthy, it said. Through ingenuity, resilience, and unity, you have demonstrated qualities that define your species. You are not mere survivors, you are creators. And now you may proceed. The light shifted, forming a doorway that shimmered with infinite possibilities. Beyond it lay answers to questions humanity had pondered for centuries. But as the team prepared to step through, Captain Ria Torres hesitated. Turning to her companions, she spoke with quiet resolve. No matter what happens next, remember this. We didn't just survive because of our tools or weapons. We survived because we trusted each other. Because we worked together. That's what makes us human. Her words hung in the air, a reminder of everything they had overcome and everything still waiting for them. Taking a deep breath, they walked through the doorway, ready to face whatever destiny awaited. The moment they stepped through the shimmering doorway, the world around them changed completely. The team found themselves standing on a vast platform suspended in an endless void, filled with swirling galaxies and streams of radiant energy. Stars twinkled in the distance, their light stretching across unimaginable distances. It was breathtaking, an overwhelming thought. Before them stood a figure unlike anything they had ever seen. It wasn't solid or human-like. Instead, it appeared as a shifting mass of light and shadow, constantly changing shape, yet somehow retaining a sense of presence. Its voice echoed not just in their ears, but in their minds, deep and resonant. "You have completed the trial," the figure said, its tone neither warm nor cold, but neutral, as if observing from a great height. "You are the first humans to stand here." Dr. Alara Voss took a cautious step forward, her heart pounding. What are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I am a representative of the architects," the figure replied. "We were once like you, beings of flesh and thought, but we transcended our limitations long ago. This place was created to identify civilizations worthy of joining us in safeguarding the balance of existence." Captain Ria Torres tightened her grip on her weapon, though she knew it would do little good against such a being. "Why test us? Why now?" The figure paused, its form flickering briefly. "Your kind has reached a critical point. You possess the potential for greatness, but also destruction. We sought to determine whether humanity is ready to take its place among the stars." Dr. Marcus Hawley adjusted his glasses, trying to steady his nerves. "And did we pass?" The figure turned its gaze toward him, or at least, it felt like it was looking directly at him. "Yes, your ingenuity, resilience, and ability to work together despite differences set you apart. Many have attempted this journey, but few succeeded. Fewer still demonstrated the qualities that make your species unique." Alara exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. "What happens now? You will be granted access to knowledge and tools far beyond your current understanding," the figure explained. "These gifts come with responsibility. Use them wisely, for they hold the power to elevate or destroy. Humanity must continue to evolve, not just technologically, but morally and socially." As the figure spoke, the platform beneath them began to glow, revealing intricate patterns that pulsed with energy. Streams of light rose from the surface, surrounding each member of the team. They felt warmth spreading through their bodies, accompanied by a flood of information concepts, designs, and ideas that expanded their minds in ways they couldn't fully comprehend. "It is done," the figure announced. "Return to your world and share what you have learned. Lead your people toward unity and progress. Remember, legends are not born, they are made." With those final words, the platform dissolved into light, and the team found themselves back at the base of the archway on Caliph Prime. The ruins were silent now, the glowing symbols dimmed as if dormant. For a moment, no one moved. They simply stared at each other, processing everything that had happened. Ria broke the silence first. "Well, that was something." Alara nodded, clutching her scanner tightly. "We need to get back to Earth, now." The journey home was tense but quiet. Each member of the team replayed the events in their minds, grappling with the weight of what they had experienced. When they finally returned to Earth, they wasted no time sharing their story. News of their discovery spread quickly, capturing the attention of leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens alike. At first, skepticism reigned. Some dismissed their tale as fantasy or conspiracy, while others demanded proof. But when Alara presented the advanced technology and knowledge they had brought back, even the harshest critics fell silent. The implications were undeniable. Humanity had been given a chance to rise above its flaws and join a greater cosmic community. Inspired by the team's courage and success, nations and corporations began working together in ways they never had before. Old rivalries faded as people focused on building a brighter future. The phrase "legends only" became a rallying cry, symbolizing humanity's boundless potential and determination to overcome any obstacle. Alara, Rhea, and Marcus became heroes overnight, though they shunned the spotlight whenever possible. Instead, they dedicated themselves to helping humanity adapt to its newfound role in the universe. Under their guidance, Earth transformed into a beacon of hope and innovation, earning respect from alien civilizations across the galaxy. Years later, as humanity continued to explore the stars, the legend of the Temple Gates endured. Stories of the trial served as a reminder that true greatness isn't measured by strength or technology. Alone, it's defined by the ability to unite, create, and persevere against all odds. And so, humanity stepped boldly into the future, proving once again that even in the face of uncertainty, they could rise to the challenge. Legends weren't born, they were made. And humanity had proven itself worthy of the title.